republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome all this evening to this Lakeview Public Schools Board of Education meeting today, Tuesday, March 18, 2025, 7:30 p.m. at the cafeteria at Lakeview High School. First, I would like to thank the high school for making arrangements for us to be here today, and thank you for the tour and the sales and the new things that have gone on here over the last 12 to 18 months. So a lot of good things are happening. I'd like to call attention to it also. Mr. Taylor is not here with us. I'm assuming she can give a wrap up at this point. And we will move on with the agenda. I'd like to call the attention to the board minutes of the regular meeting from the 18th, 2025.
Mr. President, I move that we accept the minutes from the last month's meeting.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Pierce, support by Ms. Martin, discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Secretary, can we move on to communications?
No communication, Mr. President.
Student Representative Report, Ms. McDade, good evening.
Good evening. Each elementary school, as well as the Wheat Early Childhood Center, have been celebrating March's Reading Month with various activities, spirit days, and even visits from guest readers. Each school incorporates their own special swing on things, but the idea of March's Reading Month is quite universal. This is a very fun way to encourage a love for reading amongst the young readers in our district. Now for updates on the Wheat Early Childhood Center. Each classroom has been reading How to Catch a Leprechaun. They have all worked together to decode clues and gone on scavenger hunts throughout the center to find a pot of gold. This activity was a lot of fun for the students while also teaching preschoolers problem-solving skills, literacy, and the importance of working together as a team. Preschool enrollment for the 25-26 school year is in full swing. They already have over 220 families pre-registered, with more registrations coming in daily. There are limited spots still available. An enormous thank you goes out to Jamie Trombley, their math
was something that was brought up at both the board table last month as well as the Building and Site Committee. So we'll talk a little bit about kind of that reprioritization and how that was moved into that critical needs portion, programming improvements, and then Scott's going to touch on some of the technology included in the critical needs. So high level on the infrastructure, this is a big portion of it. You can see the big portion of the pie there, 64%. Is infrastructure. There's really three main areas within that, which is the roof replacement projects, the classroom unit ventilators, and then the parking lot replacement here at the high school. That is those are significant projects. So if you look at the classroom unit ventilators, it's over 200 unit ventilators. So the units that provide the heating and cooling in the classrooms would be replaced as part of these critical needs. And then we have over 318,000 square feet of roof replacement included. And those two, the roofs and the unit ventilators, make up about 80% of that 64%. So you can see that's a very significant piece of this portion of the work. Safety and security, three items here. The district-wide impact resistant glazing. So there's a budget now included to install that resistant glazing at key areas within the building, and there's a budget for each building for that. That was something that was discussed at the last board meeting and was identified as a larger priority. That is now in the priority 1 list. High school office renovations, again, just touched on this a little last time, reorganizing staff in the high school so that key personnel are closer to the front entrance. And then card reader placement. Maybe Scott, you can mention a little bit about just the technology advancements in that area.
Yeah, so currently we have a lot of, obviously, card readers in our district, which really helps us, keep track of who is accessing our buildings when. And what we're doing is upgrading those readers over a period of time to be a more secure protocol in the reader itself. As technology comes on, people figure out how to work around it. So we're trying to keep ahead of them. Cards are one of the aspects. Also, is there's a new standardization that has gone past that, so that they can't use those devices. That's the idea.
Programming improvements. So we have the Wheat pre-K renovation. So turning that admin portion of the Wheat building into a pre-K center, and so there's about 7 classrooms that would be created as part of those renovations. Auto shop and mechatronics program, both programs identified in need of some improvements in those spaces. Football locker room improvements, the stadium restroom upgrade, so a refresh to the existing restrooms that you have. The Jefferson gym renovations, so gym floors, bleachers, gym equipment, so a refresh of that space, and then the Jefferson tennis court replacement. And the battery, I think, just died on my clicker. So we'll move on to, and I think you have copies of this in front of you, so we can keep moving through those. So the next slide should be safety and security, I believe. So the safety and, I'm sorry, we already talked about the technology. Yeah.
Thank you. So this reminds us why we have to maintain our technologies, and we always have some challenge with it, right? So in this particular bond issue and looking at the assessment of the facilities, we really took care of a lot of the needs that we have. But as we know, with technology, it's constantly changing, improving, and we have to be concerned with the security of that infrastructure and that network. So we need to continue to invest. Primarily, we're looking at student devices and staff devices, computing devices we're talking about there. Classroom audio-video technology that's in each classroom. We have the Promethean boards. Those have a limited lifetime. So in the next 5 years, we anticipate we'll need to replace those in each of the classrooms. In addition, we have the IP network, everything that makes the cameras talk, the phones talk, the computers talk. All of that network infrastructure needs to be maintained and over time needs to be upgraded and replaced. So wireless technology continues to get faster and better. Those are things that we would want to take advantage of in the future. In addition to that, our printing devices have really been centralized. So we're using high-speed multifunction printers, a lot of our labs and those things. We have a lot less individual printers out there. So those are the things we're focusing on as critical needs. Really the things you saw initially in that first 1 to 3 year critical, and then a few items that you asked to be pulled forward, including the network infrastructure.
Can you help us understand what scope is behind the cabling upgrades?
It's a modest allotment just related to the other work that we're going to be doing, where we might need some cables here and there. It's a very small allotment.
R&R, this is just adding to the existing?
Yeah, this would be just, supporting some things that we'll be doing in these buildings, some reconfiguration, but a very modest. We did not include a full cable replacement, which we did talk about, but that was out in the, that 7 to 10 year range, and that's been eliminated from the scope of work. We are doing the backbone fiber within the buildings, yes, upgrading that. That's correct.
The previous buildings that we talked about updating the network switches and wireless network.
Yep.
Where is this in?
That's the network upgrades on technology. So on this particular one, this is 39.2 million. The fourth bulleted item there, network infrastructure, that's what that is. Network upgrades. That's what ties back to that item.
Yeah, so several of those line items put together make up that network upgrades bullet.
When we see upgrades, is this replacing all of the gear in all of the buildings?
Yeah, planning on it. Now, if we get to a situation where the technology has not moved along fast enough, that we don't need to do that upgrade, we need to consider that as well.
What is the current life of the existing network gear?
So your network infrastructures, you have lifetime warranties on the edge switches, which is great, but those only operate at a certain speed. So when our speeds go up, our utilization goes up, that's when we have to invest in the network. Primarily, we've seen that investment lately towards the end of the bond in the wireless infrastructure. As we've brought in one-to-one computing, that infrastructure needed to be updated again to keep up with the number of devices in the schools.
Do our kids currently have access to the network where they can turn their cell phone on and jump on the district's?
We limit it so that it's not allowing them to just hop on. So during the day, Mark puts limits on it so that we aren't getting all of that traffic on, slowing us down.
So how do you segregate your cell phone traffic? That's probably a question for another time. Segregate your cell phone traffic versus,
It's not just the cell phone traffic, it's outside of the district devices. So that includes if they're bringing anything else, including cell phones. But he has that channeled off. Correct.
What's the question?
I'm good, thank you.
Next slide. So just a quick look at a building breakdown. You can see, parity across the elementaries. And really the difference between some of those really is made up of the roof replacement. And then, as you'd expect from a square foot perspective, you would see more dollars at Jefferson and the high school. And then the Wheat building, you can see there that's the pre-K renovations, as well as there's some infrastructure upgrades there as well, like the mechanical systems in that building. Next slide.
I do have a question regarding the high school.
Yep.
You look at the parking lot, that seems to be a significant chunk of the total project.
Yes.
Is that just to skim off the surface and replace it? Because when we went through this 20 years ago, maybe? No, less than that. They did a whole core and substrate and got it what they said it needed to be.
Yeah.
Do we need to do that again, or is this strictly just?
We budgeted for full depth replacement. However, as part of the design process, there would be, core samples like you're describing to make sure that if there's any of the existing base that could be reused, you try to reuse it. But what we're budgeting for right now is full replacement.
2004 and 5. Just when we did a bunch of budget payment,
Yeah. And then this is just a breakdown by scope, just so you can look at some of those key categories. I'd mentioned earlier that mechanical and roofing are big portions of it. You can see that there. as well as technology. Next slide. And then just, again, looking ahead, we've got several months till the potential pre-qual meeting with Treasury. Time for the board to review the list we provided, provide additional feedback. Looks like we've got about 2 opportunities to do that. So, between now and that meeting, whatever the board might request, we can provide additional information if needed.
So it looks like you shortened the timeline here in your little hexagons, but then at the top, for potential November 2026 election.
25 on the screen, yeah.
Oh, I'm looking at my.
Yeah. I caught that just before and shared that, yeah.
Yeah, we printed these at 3 o'clock.
I tried to get it reprinted, but it said it was too late for me, yeah.
Can you pick any school you want
Mm-hmm.
and take me to the school page and show me how I know what's included and what's not included in
In this
the-
presentation, anything in salmon, anything with that salmon coating would be included.
Okay, so, but when I go to my individual pages on my handout, it's hard to tell what's salmon and what's not.
Right.
So, can you?
Oh, you're
can you-
copied in color very well.
Yeah, so can you, if, I don't want you to go through every school, but can you just pick one?
Yeah, let's pick, let's go to the,
So I'm understanding.
Start with Ardmore.
yeah, let's start with Ardmore,
Okay,
yeah.
that's cool.
Page 8.
Right. So here in the architecture work,
Yep, so this first line that's got that color coding to it, the add impact resistant glazing, so that would have been in the safety and security portion. Architectural work to support unit ventilators, that would be as you replace that mechanical equipment, there's often some architectural components like casework or flooring that have to be repaired or replaced based on that. Then you would skip down to the HVAC work where you see unit ventilator horizontal, that's the replacement of those. Upgrade for, under integrated automation, upgrade for equipment replacement, that's the HVAC controls for the unit vent replacement. And then the next one down in power systems that's highlighted, it says electrical allowance to support mechanical. That would be the electrical portion of that unit ventilator replacement. Then you come down to technology infrastructure, and those first 2 lines would make up that, we called it cabling upgrades, that first 2. And then the replace card readers, that would be part of that safety and security. Going to the next page, you would see laptops, desktops, Chromebooks, phase 1. That would be 1 refresh cycle of those devices. Replace Promethean interactive flat panels. I believe we have that called display replacement on the presentation. And then this next section, the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items make up that network upgrades portion of the technology slide. And then we've got the digital media and distance learning, which we didn't talk about, but is included as part of the overall program.
When you say replace wireless network, what's the scope of that? All wireless access points would all go away and be replaced with newer technology? Yes. 2.4 or 5?
That would be, right now we're doing 2.4 and 5, but yes, we would upgrade to the latest. Right now we're at 802.11ax, which is the latest, fastest standard, which gives us really good high-density support for a lot of devices in a single classroom, which you obviously need when you have 30-some kids in a classroom.
and one more question about
Sure.
building specifically. So the building on page 3 of 21, the total is like 5.4 million.
Yep.
That includes-
Okay, let me go to the wheat building. You want to just walk through, want me to just walk through the wheat building?
Does it encompasses the remodeling of the current facility?
Correct.
And not any expense we would have in relocating?
Correct. That is correct, yes. There are some infrastructure items within the wheat building that were due anyways, such as the mechanical and roofing, that might not be included in the, let's say, programming, but would be included in the infrastructure. So the wheat kind of gets split up into a couple categories there.
So this is mostly the remodel and
Correct. Correct. Yes, the largest portion of it would be the wheat renovations. Yeah.
So whatever we do as a board, we understand that there's gonna be some expense somewhere to relocate the current administrative staff somewhere else.
That's correct.
To that end, replace HVAC system, was that not totally replaced when we renovated it 10 years ago?
2012, 13.
Okay, 12 years ago?
It's,
The VR.
it's failed several times in the last 2 years. Both sides of the building have had no heat a couple, 3 times. And space heaters and, so the units themselves, maybe I'll say this out loud. The units themselves that are in the courtyard that serve both heating and cooling really are not made for the very cold temperature situations we see. Our HVAC techs have sort of indicated that that's more like a Tennessee type of thing, not this weather that we would see, below zero for days at a time. And so that, and we've had significant work done on those things over the last couple of years, like replacing full units.
How long should a system like that last? I would assume it would last more than 12, 13 years.
I will say that
They sell us something that.
what that's called a VRV system, they don't have the lifespan that you would see in a, like say chiller boiler arrangement where you have kind of less moving parts. The VRV system is all DX cooling, which is compressors. And so they're running for both heating and cooling. So imagine the air conditioner at your house, if it ran all the time, you would replace your air conditioner a lot more frequently. So that system is a little unique, as Mr. Paulson mentioned. So there is a shorter lifespan on that. That would be, I would say you're probably in that 15, so it's probably a little earlier than you would like, but it's not that far off from, 10 to 15 years. So it's.
I take it we were told that back.
Yeah.
So what we have on the radar screen now for the upgrade, what kind of lifespan do we look at that system?
Yeah, so we're not, what we have budgeted for would not be the same system. So we've been working closely with partners in architecture and the engineering, a new engineering firm to make sure that whatever system we put in place is, is more appropriate for a school facility.
What would be the goal lifespan-wise?
I mean, like if you look at like a classroom unit ventilator, you get into that 15 to 20 year range, and like that's what you're dealing with now in the current unit ventilator. So like a 20-year time frame is appropriate. Now, like some of the central heating and cooling systems can last longer, like the boiler would last longer if we went with a boiler route, but the units themselves with cooling would fall in those ranges.
I know the elementary buildings and middle school, that it's the 20-year
Yeah.
plus.
Yeah.
I'm speaking specifically to wheat.
Yeah,
What you're proposing for us, what would be the anticipated lifespan of that system?
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. Yeah. Yep.
Fair enough. Yeah, because I don't want to come back 10 years from now and say, oops, we underestimated, and
Yeah.
give us another $1.3 million or whatever it is to.
Yeah, the system installed there is specifically for typically like older spaces that don't have a lot of space above ceilings, like where you can't install ductwork. And so there was I think maybe some challenges with that space. They thought this would be a good solution for you. Obviously, when you look at the result, that's probably not the case. But that would have been probably the reason or the rationale behind going with that system. Less invasive architecturally to install that system than it would be something else. Like I think we even have a line in here for some additional architectural for mechanical, just understanding that if we go with a different system, you're gonna have some money to, either in the basement or in the attic, make some adjustments so that you can put different types of equipment or ductwork in place. That's a ways off, like a final design on that, but we're trying to protect a budget that could take you in a couple different directions there.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Thank you. Questions?
Great idea. Just look for a HVAC system for 20 years. I think
Yeah.
That's something like that. I think that's a great idea. Before we go back to box fans.
Yeah.
But I had to.
When you look at the auditorium, that's got about 20 years on it at this point.
Mhm.
So that makes more sense than
Yeah.
12 to 13 years and saying, let's replace it, because it's been broken for 2 years and we've been trying to fix it.
Yeah.
So basically, when I look at this summary, that I totally understand now.
Yeah. You're welcome.
the explanation.
Yep.
Besides the tennis court project, there's really not a lot that taxpayers or residents are gonna see from the improvements. Everything is necessary and has to be done, but for people to understand and see, that's not gonna happen this time around for the bond. Is that
Yeah, well, I mean, I think,
correctly?
well, I mean, if you look at the infrastructure, you know, the pie, that's why I like kind of use these pie shapes, because you can see like, you know, 65% of this is classroom unit ventilators and roofs. It's heating and cooling and roofs. Probably the two most important things, you know, long-term for the facility. And you're, you know, really attacking those as part of this list. That's a big portion, you know.
Yeah, it's more of infrastructure and
Yeah,
operations.
yeah, absolutely.
We're not gonna see the renovation we need,
Yeah.
but.
In the parking lot.
Yeah.
Just one.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think like we're also getting the pool, and I think this next phase we're doing, we're hitting the pool next. So we kind of got a majority, you know, good lion's share of what the public will see.
Right.
So I think we captured a lot of it now.
Looks like we're going full circle now, restarting where we were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
25 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you know, I've said this before, you know, part of this is about promises made and promises kept, right? You, as a board, you know, previous boards, the things that were on the lists and the things that were intended were done, albeit lesser, to some degree lesser, this post-COVID environment we're in. You know, we weren't able to get maybe as much of the things we thought, but it also changed. What we needed changed also. Like, you know, a second floor with technology classroom in this building on the wing. It's 1-to-1 now. You know, in 2018-19, we were talking about having labs with desktops in them. Well, those aren't gonna be needed when you have 1-to-1 with everybody. So post-COVID, things did change a little bit, because of post-COVID and a different environment we're in now. To the better, I think. So really, all that we need now is for, you know, at least what we're going to be directing, particularly the architect and engineer, you know, to really become aggressive and get work on the wheat renovations, bidding, you know, the bidding documents and drawings and things of that sort. Because if that's a thumbs up, we are, you know, the goal would be to move that forward very fast, as fast as they can do the design work, and get to some, you know, bidding documents that will probably go out prior to an election window, because we're going to need to, you know, we want the work to be accomplished by fall 2026 to be able to use that space, if at all possible. So if anybody has any reservation about the wheat question right now, you know, that's what we kind of have to let the architects get to task on that design. Final down, you know, they did some scope things, but really getting down to the nitty gritty, you know, how that bathroom piping for those classrooms is going to work under the floor and all that sort of stuff, right? All the details have to be accomplished to get to a bid documents.
As I stated before, I'm in favor of moving forward with the REAP project as discussed previously.
Any concerns for anybody about that? All right.
A lot of things that are kind of on our laps to be very responsible and to understand whether or not these are accommodatable you know, our responsibility to look at these things, and make sure that we're being fiscally responsible to the taxpayers. So that's my biggest concern. I think that things are out here, I just worry about the uncertainty. And obviously, I can't ask you guys, because you have no idea, just like the rest of us. But I just hope that, you know, everything, stays on a certain path that we can somewhat guide and make sure that we're accommodating the goals that we're setting out to do.
I just want to agree with that. I had the same concerns, and also just having worked in a school for so long, when things happen and but we can't finish projects because of the cost of things. So I would agree. That is just that's my concern as well.
One of the things that I can tell you that we discussed in the Building and Site Committee is we're going to make our work plan less restrictive than more restrictive. So when we go through the bond language, we say we're going to do improvements to the roof. We're going to make improvements to the HVAC. So if for some reason we don't get a chance to finish every single building, or we run out of some money, as long as we touch those categories, we're okay. Is that a correct understanding?
Yeah. It's kind of like what we're going through now. We couldn't get everything done we wanted to, so we ran out of money. So we prioritized a year ago what we're gonna do to finish up what we could.
I just want the taxpayers, you know, the ones that are watching us, to know that we are looking at this very seriously. We are not, you know, looking to increase taxes. We're looking to keep this the way it is currently, but utilize the money that you've already been paying and make sure that our school is, you know, number one down here in St. Clair Shores.
Right.
And I think that's really important to tell our taxpayers.
And that was one of our biggest priorities, is to not have an effective increase to taxpayers.
It's just too uncertain at this point.
I will say that was the first building site committee I've been to where we went through every line of the work list, so I know people can trust that you guys are taking a good look at these, so it was great though, yeah.
And we started early enough so you have enough time to consider things, right? I mean, several meetings in a row, we're gonna have the opportunity to consider those things and be our due diligence, right? Due diligence.
Yeah.
And we would expect nothing less.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't either.
Any other comments? Anything else to share? Any questions from administration? No. Well, thank you for coming out and spending some time with us this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure there'll be a lot more questions coming your way, but
We'll be ready.
Plenty of time for it, yes.
perfect. Thank you.
Vicky's texting her colleagues to say, get ready.
So yeah, I know I had a lot of arrows on here for questions, but I can take that offline and forward it to you. All right, moving on with the agenda. Personnel, item 8, changes in personnel.
Tonight, administration is bringing forward the following changes in personnel since the last presentation to the Board of Education on February 18th. New hire Rachel Prano, Lakeview High School Special Education Teacher, effective March 20th, 2025. Summer school returning principal for Jefferson Middle School and Lakeview High School, Anthony Savali. Secondary Department Heads Pilot Program, Lisa Beckman. Ann De La Vega, Tracy Kalinowski, Kurt Miley, Jordan Crandall, Karen Galina, Kristen Leinart, and Keith Rayner. Elementary High Dosage Tutoring, Devin Sigatura, Michelle McLennan, Emma Parks. Retirement with Regrets, Christine Templeton, Lakeview Public Schools Student Services Administrative Assistant, effective June 30. Schedule B, returning coach and sponsors for the current year as listed. Schedule B, new coach and sponsors for the 24-25 school year. Pierce Radcliffe, Lakeview High School Wrestling Boys Junior Varsity co-coach, and Joseph Trupiani, Lakeview High School Wrestling Boys Junior Varsity co-coach.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve the changes in personnel as presented.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bear, support by Ms. Martin. Discussion on the motion. Hearing nothing. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Say it. Oh, do we have the new hire here this evening?
We do not. Thank you
I'm
for,
always used to looking the other way, and
I know,
we're
thank you
opposite.
for asking, not tonight.
All right, thank you. Under curriculum, item A, Copniconic for JMS sixth grade students.
Jefferson Middle School sixth grade students and staff would like to travel to Camp Copniconic located in Fenton, Michigan. This longstanding tradition and experience at Lakeview has given sixth graders an opportunity to participate in an engaging outdoor educational experience. The students will be involved in an intensive nature study, camping and survival training, and bonding with students blended from our 4 elementary buildings, along with high school students who will serve as their cabin counselors. Transportation will be by bus through preferred charter services. The cost of the trip is $255 per student. Fundraising is available for students who wish to participate to help defer the cost of the trip, with any remaining balance provided by each family. Additional funding, if necessary, may be obtained from the PTSO, staff donations, community organizations, or the District Chatterton Fund. JMS Dean of Students Sean Coopers is responsible for arranging and planning the trip. Dean Coopers, along with JMS Principal Amanda Michaelevich and some JMS staff, will be traveling with approximately 180 to 250 students and 25 to 30 Lakeview High School seniors who will be selected as cabin counselors. The number of staff and counselors attending will be based upon the number of students who sign up to attend the trip. The group will depart Jefferson Middle School on Monday, October 27th, 2025 at 9 a.m. and will return on Wednesday, October 29th, 2025 at 3:30 p.m.
President, I move that the Board of Education approve the Jefferson Middle School sixth grade trip to Camp
Copniconic.
in Fenton, Michigan, leaving on Monday, October 7th, 2025, returning.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Taylor, support by Mr. Bear. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item B, Lakeview High School Automotive Program Vehicle Donation.
The Lakeview High School Automotive Program has been offered a vehicle to be donated to the program for students to work on. The donation is being offered by Mr. Don Bacon, who is a community member that has supported the LHS Auto Shop program over the years. The vehicle being donated is a 2007 Dodge Caliber, estimated to be worth about $2,525. Auto shop teacher Jim Schneider says that it will be used during lab and shop time to help students become more familiar with completing the tasks needed to keep an automobile running smoothly.
President, I move that the Board of Education approve the donation from Mr. Don Bacon of the 2007 Dodge Caliber for the Lakeview High School Automotive Program.
Support. Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Taylor, support by Ms. Martin. Discussion on the motion. Thanks to the gentleman for helping our kids along with an automobile to work with. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item C, Lakeview High School Marching Band to New Life Band Camp.
The Lakeview High School Marching Band would like to travel to Rose City, Michigan for a band camp experience on August 10th, 2025. Students have attended New Life Band Camp in past summers and were very pleased with the professional music instruction they received in preparation for their fall competitive marching season. Students will have the opportunity to participate in intensive team-building experiences as well as music and marching sessions. All transportation will be provided by Preferred Charter Services Bus Company. Students are responsible for the cost of the trip, which is $415 per person, and participated in various fundraisers throughout the past school year to help offset this cost. Marching Band Director Jody Thompson is the sponsor of this trip. Approximately 90 students will attend with Jody and 4 marching band assistants, in addition to 10 parent chaperones. They will depart from Lakeview High School on Sunday, August 10th, 2025, and will return on Saturday, August 16th, 2025.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve the Lakeview High School Marching Band to travel to Rose City, Michigan to attend New Life Band Camp on August 10th through 16th of 2025.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bear, support by Ms. Taylor. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Skills USA Automotive MLR State Competition.
2 students from the Lakeview High School Automotive Program qualified for this year's Skills USA State Competition. Seniors Andrew Dydra and Tristan LeMay will be competing in the Automotive Maintenance and Light Repair MLR contest. The specific MLR category equips students with the skills needed to perform routine maintenance tasks, diagnose and repair minor issues, and understand the basic systems of a vehicle. It covers the areas of engine cooling systems, tire service, vehicle alignment, steering and suspension systems, brakes, electrical and electronic systems, heating and air conditioning, and overall engine performance. Students will also have a chance to network with a variety of people from the automotive industry. The competition will be held in Grand Rapids, and the students will be accompanied by and transported by automotive program instructor Jim Schneider. They will leave Lakeview High School on Friday, April 11th, 2025 at 9 a.m. in order to attend the first leadership test, which begins at 3 p.m. that day. They will stay overnight for 2 nights at the Amway Grand Plaza Hotel to attend the Automotive MLR contest on Saturday, April 12th, 2025 at 8 a.m. and the awards program on Sunday, April 13th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. They plan to arrive back at LHS early afternoon on Sunday, April 13th, 2025. The total cost of the trip is $1,500 and will be fully funded using CTE monies.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve the overnight field trip for Lakeview High School Auto Shop students to complete the State Automotive MLR contest in Grand Rapids, leaving on Friday, April 11th, 2025, and returning Sunday, April 13th, 2025.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Martin, support by Mr. Bear. I do have one question. This says that the teacher will be going with the students. Are the parents going to be allowed to go to this event as well?
My understanding is that this is just the students. The parents may choose to go separately, but we're actually sponsoring the trip just between the teacher and the students.
Fair enough. Any other comments?
Congratulations to these two individuals for qualifying, Andrew and Tristan, and then their program instructor, Jim Schneider, for getting them there. I think that's fantastic.
Pretty common tradition that he has several kids usually qualify.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Bond implementation, item A, bid pack number 10, change order, Lakeview High School Athletic Field site work, tabled from the 2/18/25 board meeting.
This evening is recommended.
First, have a motion to take it off the table.
Motion to take it off the table.
Okay, we have the motion by Mr. Asha, support by Ms. Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, now we move forward.
This evening is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following change orders related to site work and directional boring at the Lakeview High School Athletic Field. At the regular meeting of the Board of Education on February 18th, the change order request for the work at the LHS field was tabled with the request to provide more clarification on details for the work that was done and what is still to be done at the LHS stadium and parking area by each contractor involved in this change order request. After the meeting on February 18th, administration directed Barton Vallow Builders to provide a detailed map of work that was part of base bid and change orders that were addressed during the site work at the athletic field. Barton Vallow provided clarification on the work that was included on this change order. All drainage work done on the north side of the new bleachers was part of the base bid and not included in any additional costs within the change order request. See your map for details, and I'm sure we might get into that. Therefore, administration recommends approval of increase in contract through change order in the following amounts: DeHaan Electric, $25,524, and Cordis Brothers, $66,074.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve the change order and contract increase to DeHaan Electric in the amount of $25,524 for the directional boring at Lakeview High School Athletic Field, and increase to Cordis Brothers in the amount of $66,074 for utility changes, additional concrete, and drainage for Lakeview High School Athletic Field as presented.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bear, support by Ms. Martin. Discussion on the motion. Question, this HH with the red line, what does that stand for?
Those are handholds, so when they do directional boring, they put in areas where they kind of dig, and there's a, it's almost like a junction where if we have to go in and go in one direction or the other, we have a, it's like a, I guess in your house, like a clean out. If you look at your basement, you've got those clean outs. It's the same concept.
It has a manhole in the top
Yeah,
of it.
that we can,
Access.
it's locked in, and we can open it up and get to it.
Okay. And then we're looking at more drainage going from, I presume, the old bleachers? Is that
So in the light blue, if you look in the bottom right of the plan,
Yes?
over near the old concession, there's a little bit of ponding or watering that's collected near where those picnic tables are. I think they're in the concrete right now. So to address that, that drainage is going to be collected with a catch basin that just sits and holds the water and then lets it dissipate over time. And so while we're tearing up the concrete, we thought that it would be best to address both of those two issues at the same time around the new ticket booth that's being built.
Because right now, currently, in front of the concession stand, it, if it gets a heavy dew, there's about 4 inches of water that sit right in front. So there's already an existing drain that's there. It's just been buried and covered up over the years, so we're going to make sure that the water drains appropriately away from the center of the picnic tables.
It's at a higher elevation too, so this will catch it at that lower elevation.
So the new shed that we have out there with the orange going around it, what is that telling me? That was previously done?
All captured in the base bid. for the
Original, that's already done.
So as they backed out from the renovations, they were hitting some of these spots, and this is, that light blue is an item that we have not yet done, but we will address here when the weather breaks.
So what all is being done then if
The light green areas and the light blue around the new.
the light green and the light blue, and that's $91,000?
There's the additional work too that was done in the parking lot for the drainage in that area. So that's the purple lines that are to the
How was that missed?
west. I'm sorry?
How was that missed?
It wasn't missed. Once we got the old parking lot up and we could see everything that was going on down there, there was old footings and foundations from the houses that used to be in this area. Those were, the gas lines were going through those, so there was a lot of work that we had to do to take that out. But then also, in order to capture the elevations and make sure that your parking lot drained properly, there was elevation of pipe that wasn't installed per drawing, so we had to address designing the storm drainage underneath the parking lot. So we actually had the civil engineer out there, Cordis was out there, Barton Mallow was out there, and we were all redesigning it in the field so that it will drain properly.
How did we miss this a year ago?
This is towards the end of the project, so as they're backing out everything, these are elevations that you get closer to tie everything. That's where it was towards the end of August time frame.
We have a gas line that was not at the elevation that it should have been at, and that affected a lot of the storm drainage underneath, so we had to be above or below that in lieu of moving the gas line, which we would have moved 80 to 120 linear feet or something like that for.
So how much of this work is gonna tear up the existing pavement? That's already done.
Oh, this is done. This work is
The
done.
purple and the orange have already been completed.
These are all decisions to make
Okay,
sure
so
that
it's
we
the
open the
green.
facility.
The green and the light blue is the $91,000.
On that logistic right in the center, we broke out the cost, so you got roughly 15,000 for the new drainage portion, and then the sidewalk portions that have yet to be done are the 30,000. So it's a sub-portion of that whole Cordis number if you look at it from a breakout.
And this boring that I had questioned, the HHs, that's already done, or is that something that's gonna be part of this initiative?
That was already done because we needed to have directional boring for Mr. Bruni to get his low voltage tech stuff to the inside, or to the press box.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
For the drainage, there's water sitting, even if it's underground, I'm assuming there's some kind of grading, right? Is that gonna be a plethora of mosquitoes and sewage smell or anything like that? So I'm just asking, because it's over by, the concession stand, I just wanna make sure that we're doing everything right. If
so-
we're gonna pay this money.
Yeah, a lot of, if you hear the terminology of a French drain, so there's a large cobblestone with a perforated tube. So that'll actually collect that runoff, and it sits in a big housing. So when I say catch basin, it's just gonna sit there, and then over time, because you have clayey soils here, it doesn't allow it to dissipate very well. And I think you're familiar with that with a lot of the buildings with there's helical piles and things like that. So the water sits up high, and it doesn't allow it to drain like sand soils. So as far as the smells, it's just runoff of rainwater. So
You won't have open water or anything where you'll have mosquitoes or insects. Yeah.
this isn't mixture with like waste or anything. It's just your typical rain runoff. So.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, no. All right, bid back number 13, Lakeview High School gym equipment and pool bleachers.
Tonight, administration recommending award of contracts for bid package number 13 related to pool bleacher replacement and installation of new basketball systems, including a motorized system for the main court at Lakeview High School. Starting in February, the small bid package was advertised and bidders were solicited as law and district policy requires. Ultimately, 10 bid proposals were submitted on February 18th when they were publicly opened and read aloud. Barton Mallow Builders, with administration and partners in architecture, evaluated the proposals and conducted post-bid reviews with the apparent low bidders and in some cases the second apparent low bid. Both Barton Mallow and Partners in Architecture attended the interviews, and the following contracts are being recommended for award in the amount of $298,700. Vance Building Group LLC, $277,000, and Sawyer Services, $21,700.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve the bid amounts to Advanced Building Group and Sawyer Services totaling $298,700 for pool bleacher replacement and gym equipment at Lakeview High School as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Martin, support by Mr. Asher. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for coming out this evening.
Having us.
And then lastly, we have a request for closed session to discuss attorney-client privileged communication.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve going into closed session for the purpose of discussing attorney-client privilege communication.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bear, support by Ms. Martin to go into closed session. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Muscoli.
Yes.
Mr. Bear.
Aye.
Ms. Martin.
Aye.
President Dombrowski.
Aye. All right, it's currently 8:40. We are going to go into recess, and that'll conclude this portion of the meeting. There will be no action coming out of the closed session, so the meeting will end in the closed session. So we're going to relocate somewhere else, I believe.
Sure, yep.
And we'll carry on with the discussion. We'll reconvene at 8:50.
Cameras are coming back on.
Breakfast.
I don't think we need to. Go into closed session.
I know.
We can go over to the new wing. Tables that are